Well, hey everybody, and welcome back to Kiki's Kitchen. Today I am making a few things, but I figured I'd take you along with me. Now, I know that I recently made a pie crust for you, but I am going to show you how to make it much easier in a food processor if you have it. Now, you can certainly make a pie crust either way, by hand or in a food processor, but if you happen to have one, it makes it a very short process. So, let's get started. This is my Aunt Nita's recipe. I've had it for years and years, and it really does make the fluffiest, flakiest, most delicious pie crust ever. So, that being said, that's a good endorsement, right? So, what I have is my food processor. This is an old Cuisinart, and it is old. It's probably 15 years old. And it has all kinds of different little whirring things. And if you have one, you may find one, and if you'll notice, it says on there, right on there, this one's for dough. So you have a couple of different blades. You have a chopping blade and blah, blah, blah. You have a grinding wheel. Well, this one's for dough. So just in case you looking at your food processor, look for that particular blade. So my recipe starts with 2.5 cups of regular all-purpose flour. So you know, I always tell you, I know you can't see behind here, mound it up, tap off the sides. You're not trying to pack it in here, you're just trying to settle it so you get rid of all the air pockets. Then take the back side of your knife and make a nice flat so that you get a good, even measurement. Try to pour it down in the base of your food processor. So, I hope y'all had a good Cinco de Mayo. Mine was kind of all weekend. We ate Mexican all weekend. It was very good. That's 2. And you know, I always tell you, make sure you have a scoop, so you can reach down in there with your scoop and put it in, place it in your measuring cup so that you're not packing it. When you don't just reach down there with your measuring cup, it'll pack it. You don't want that. All right. So I have my 2.5 cups of flour. To that, I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of sugar. I'm going to add a tablespoon of white distilled vinegar. I think this vinegar is what gives it the flakiness, to tell you the truth. I am going to add, and I gotta tell you, you know, this is so easy. If you're gonna go for a difficult level, the most difficult part of this is I take my butter frozen from the freezer and I grate it, because it is easier to grate when it's frozen. But it blends so much better, and in that's gonna go. That is 2 sticks of butter. And we'll just use this. But it's cold from the freezer, and which actually is the way you want it. And then all grated up, it'll blend in beautifully. Believe it or not, whatever is left on that plate, I'm going to use to grease my pie plate. Because you do want to grease a deep dish, because I'm making a banana cream pie. So you want it, I want a deep dish pie crust. Sorry, pie plate, pie pan. I want a deep dish one. Actually, let me tell you a quick story. See, this one says lemon meringue. My mama got me one just like this years ago. Well, actually, it was an engagement gift for me. So we're talking 100 years ago. And I used to bake pies for my niece's restaurant. And I took a pie in, and I said, oh, I gotta get my pie plate back. And my niece said, oh yeah, I still got some pie in it. I'll bring it to you, I'll bring it to you, I'll bring it to you. Little did I know that it had fallen and broken. And she scoured the internet until she found the exact same one, complete with, what do you call this, scoring, or there's a word for it, grazing, complete with grazing marks. I mean, had she not told me the story, I'd have never known. Bless her little heart. She worried so. squiggle thing. Okay, so I am going to put water in here. I have up to 5 tablespoons of ice water. So here's my ice water right here. Ice water, tablespoon. But I want to get this mixed up. So you're going to have to bear with me. So hang in there. All right, I'm going to put some down in here. Take that out. And I'm going to put 2 in to start. You know, you don't want to put too much in because you don't want your dough to be too wet. So I'm going to start with 2 and go from there. And I'm just putting it on high and letting it run. You know, you'll think in a minute, you'll think it's not going to happen. And then all of a sudden it comes together beautifully. And it is starting to come together, if you can see that. I'm going to add 1 more tablespoon of water. So that's a total of 3 right now we have. And as you can see, it's really coming together. I hope you can hear me. And there we have it. Ta-da. No muss, no fuss. And that was 3 tablespoons of water. Sometimes it's a little bit more, sometimes a little bit less. So let me take a look at it. And it looks oh so absolutely perfect. So what I'm going to do actually is, because even though it is absolutely perfect, I want to, let me get rid of this. I want to put some flour down on my board, and I want to cut it in half because this recipe makes enough for either a pie with a top crust, a double crusted pie, or a deep dish pie and then a regular pie. I don't know if it's going to quite go to 2 deep dish pies. So let's take this out of here. I got a little left in here. I'm going to get every bit of that. So I'm going to cut this. I'm going to cut this kind of in 2, and the reason I say kind of in 2 is I'm going to make one a little bit smaller than the other because I'm making a deep dish pie. So I'm going to take the second one and I'm going to put it in the refrigerator while I work this first one, so I can keep it chilled. I don't want it to get too warm. Hold on a second. All right, so gotta wipe off my hands, believe it or not. I'm gonna get them into it to be so now this is our beautiful dough, and I mean it's perfect, just perfect. I'm gonna kind of flip it around in my flour just a little bit, and I'm kind of making my disc so that when I roll it, I'm gonna kind of start with a circle. All right, but before I do that, seriously, I gotta go back to my pie pan, and I'm gonna take my butter paper that I had, and I'm buttering this pan. I wanna get it up on the edges. And I don't like to use spray when I'm doing this. I like to use butter. I think it mirrors the buttery pie crust. So I like to use butter. It doesn't take that much. As a matter of fact, that's what I scraped off of my grater when I was grating the butter. So, and I wanted that done so that it would have some place to go when I'm finished rolling it. Okay, I am going to put a little rolling pin. Let's back you up a little bit so you can kind of see this. Put a little bit more down here. I don't want it to stick. Put a little bit on my pen. And we're off. And get all of my stuff out of the way here. You want to start at the center and gently go out to the sides. All right, a little here, a little there, all the way around. If you have a food processor, I can promise you this is the way you want to go. Because it takes no time, no effort. And either way you do it, even if you do it in a bowl by hand, you still really need to grind or grate the butter. That so evenly distributes it and makes it so nice and flaky. Good here. All right. I'm just kind of pulling it out because I want to make sure that it's the same kind of thickness throughout. So I'm going to start my roller here. And if you don't have one of these pads, these baking mats, they really are wonderful. And I think I got mine at Walmart. I'm sure you can get it on Amazon. But I take my mat and I pick it up, and it helps it come up nicely without tearing. So, hang on. The only reason I'm wiping this off is because I want to sit this on it. And I'm going to lift this carefully and put it right over the top of my pie pan. Gently kind of squish it around here, because what I want to do is I want to push it down so that it goes down inside. And once again, hold on. Don't yell at me. Let me move this. There. Hopefully you can see that. So I want to pick it up so that I can drop it down inside of my pie pan. I've got my oven preheating at 425 because I'm going to blind bake this. And what that simply means, what that simply means is I'm going to bake it off completely, because a banana cream pie is basically banana pudding, basically a thick banana pudding, and I'm doing it straight out of the box. And so it requires no baking, and then it'll have whipped cream on the top of it. So I want this to bake first. So I'm going to bake this off. I'm going to put some pie weights in here. But first, let me show you what I have learned for my edge. See all this extra? I'm basically going to fold it up and make a wall. Now, some of it will be too much, like here. That's just a little bit too much. But I'm just rolling it up this way. I'll come back and make it pretty here in a second, but you know, I finally figured out, my mother would be so proud, that why I could never get and it's not great, but it's better than I've done before, is because I was cutting my sides off, my dough off my sides too short, and then it would always shrink up in the pan. So I need to have a knife doing this, truthfully. However, it's such good pie crust. So I'm just going around. I gotta get a knife. This is crazy. I mean, this is just blatantly too much over here. My mama used to take these pie scraps and twist them up and put them in sugar and cinnamon, and that was kind of our treat. Sorry for my silence in my back of my head, but I'm concentrating. So all I'm doing is I'm rolling this up and bringing it up to the top. I'll come back and fix this up in a second, but I'm giving myself something to work with here. And yes, some sides are bigger than others, and that's way bigger than it needs to be, because I, my friends, am not a pastry chef. I am just like you. I like to work in my kitchen at home, and that's what I get to do. You know, I have to say, even as rustic, let's call this, as this may look right now, it's probably better than what I used to do. So, like I said, I'm just rolling it up on the sides like this. So now that I have it rolled, I'm just going to go back and pinch it all the way around. So bear with me a second. I'll get to you in a second. What the next step after this, some of this will be a little crustier than others, but that's okay. Because I love this crust. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do an egg wash. And I'm going to put an egg wash on this. I'm going to poke it. I'm going to poke it with a fork all over the sides and bottoms. So sorry I'm not paying attention to you, looking at you, but I can't do both. And I'm going to put pie weight. Actually, I'm not going to do an egg wash just yet. I'm going to wait until my pie weights come out, and then I'll egg wash it. And I don't own pie weights. That's one of those things I keep saying, I got to get some pie weights. But what I use are beans, dried beans. And I reuse them over and over and over again, too. I think my bean of choice right now is lentils. That's what I think I've been using. All right, so hang on one second. Let me get my pie weights. Okay, so I have a piece of parchment, a rough square, and I'm going to fold it in half, roughly, and then in quarters. And then from here, I'm going to fold this into a cone-shaped kind of a thing, right? So just kind of lay it there and see the center of your pie and cut it a little bigger. And we should have a rough circle that will fit down in here. Too big. I made it a little bit too big. All right. There. Because all we're trying to do is put something that we can sit our, see, circle, and that we can sit our beans down on top of, our pie weights. Whether you have beans or pie weights, let me make this just a little bit smaller. Whether you have beans or pie weights, you want something that separates it from your pie. So now I'm going to take my fork, and this is called docking, by the way. And you want to prick the edges on the sides because the steam will get trapped in there and it'll bubble and it just won't be pretty. So there we go. Now, back to our little circle. So this is our circle. Now what I want to do is I want to wad it up. The reason I want to do that is because now it'll lay it better in my pie cutter. the easier to form. Now you can do this with foil instead of parchment, but I like parchment better. Foil scares me. Yeah, foil can sometimes stick, and I don't like that. So these are my lentil pie beans. I keep them inside of an airtight container, inside of an airtight bag, and the bag is marked pie beans. And I'm going to put these in the bottom of my pie. And I'm going to spread them out and up the sides of my pie. And this is just going to help it from popping up in the middle and on the sides. It kind of keeps everything in place. All right, into the oven she's going. And actually I said 425 and it's really 400. And it's going to go in there for about 20 minutes until the edges start getting brown. Then I will take it out, carefully lift out my beans and put it, and that's when I'll do my egg wash and put it back in there for the next maybe 15 or so minutes until it gets nice and golden brown. So I will see you in the first 20 minutes. Hang in there. Okay, a few things. I went ahead and just made my banana pudding, and that is banana pudding out of the box with the using the instructions for a pie filling. So in this particular case, I think it's 1 3/4 cup of cold milk. And you can use 2%, which is what I used. So so this is our pie after its first 20 minutes out of the oven. There you go. And so I'm going to carefully pick up my lentils. And I'm going to, I got a bowl over here, so it has a landing place so they don't go everywhere. And now I'm going to stick that back in the oven for another 5. And I'm not going to egg wash it. I don't know why I said I was going to do that. If I put egg on this right now, they will scramble because it's so hot. So I'm going to put it back in the oven. I'm going to actually turn my oven down a bit to 375. And I'm going to go about another 15 minutes. So I'll see you then. Hang in there. Okay, our pie crusts are cool. So we're going to move ahead and make the topping. Now, a lot of people for banana cream pie use meringue. I'm not a meringue fan. I have never been a meringue fan. My mom used to make it. Even on lemon meringue pie, which is the point. But I just don't really care for it. So I always use whipped cream. So if you're a meringue person, then make your own meringue. But I'm a whipped cream kind of girl. Here are my beans that have been on my pies, and I'm putting them back in my Ziploc and back in my little airtight bag. So come see me the next time I bake a pie. So that goes there. So what I've got is my bowl and my whisk attachment in the freezer. See how nice and cold that is? That helps speed up the process for whipping your cream. So, I got all the ones going on here. Here we go. Oh, and I want to tell you, hang on one quick second. I wanted to make sure that I had my friend, her name is Judy L. from Ohio, and I wanted to thank her for sending me this. This is an awesome, awesome thing. She saw me struggle with pulling out my blender or my mixer, and look at one finger and it just glides, and you put it under here and you cut it so it fits, and it's just an awesome thing. Judy, thank you so much. That was so kind and sweet of you to say.